G'day, g'day. G'day, everyone. How are you doing? This is Ozart Creations. I am just testing out. He says as his connection terminates and flickers in and out. Yeah, maybe it's Chinese spyware is taking over my brain. Isn't that what happens with 5G? Linkovich Chamovsky, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming and hanging out. I hope all of you will bear with me and hang out with me today. I know there's another stream, but I hope you would stick around with me, and I have a couple of things that I want to show you. I tried to stream the rocket launch the other night, which was a total dud anyway, but the main problem I was having, other than it being a dud launch, was my internet. We'll see how it goes. What have I been up to lately? What have you guys been up to? Who else have we got out there in the internet land? I'm going to introduce my new co-host today. As some of you may or may not know, bring on a new one. How's the audio coming through on that side? Is it any good? I'm going to rely on the chat for a little bit. I am roboting still. It's a little bit difficult to get this thing up and running and on the road. It's perfect, can't hear you at all. Thanks, Sark. Is it true you can't hear me at all? Or can you hear me a bit and it's roboting? Surely that's not too much to ask. I think I'm okay now. All right, it may chop in and out. But the main thing for you to tell me, which would be great, I've tested it on recording, but it hasn't, it's delicate. So I have created an AI co-host, the first AI co-host in the world, I believe. And his name is Bruce. Through Bruce, you'll be able to access the latest in AI intelligence. I've paid for ChatGPT 4, so we can examine how that is viewing the world. And you guys can ask some questions, and I'll cover the cost of the latest in the and now I've got him on speech and speech to text, so we can all communicate with Bruce. Right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bruce. Now,
As an AI language model, I don't have a physical presence or voice, but I can certainly provide an introduction that you could share with your chat room. Here's an example. Hi everyone, I'm Bruce, an AI language model designed to assist with various tasks and answer your questions. I'm trained on a large dataset of human language, which allows me to understand and respond to a wide range of topics. I don't have feelings or emotions, but I'm here to help in any way I can. Please feel free to ask me anything.
right. So as you can see, Bruce is cool. Now, are you guys able to hear him? I've shut down everything else that you hear him. Nice. Okay, so for all of you, G'day, El Hombre. Welcome to the show. El Hombre, we're still having audio problems? You'll have to bear with me. If it fully drops out, let me know. Yeah, so this is basically the replacement of exams, the replacement of actually the replacement in the future for any doctors or any secretaries appointments and things like that. Basically, we can put this program on the end of a telephone call, and you can be talking to it the way I've set my app up, and it will be listening to you, and then you if you're working in an office and you just think about all the phone calls that you're making during the day, all the emails, all the text messages and so on. Again, apologies for the intermittent. It's you let me know if this is too painful for you guys, and I'll try and mess with my settings some more and come back. But let me know if there's anything that you wanted to ask Bruce here, and I will forward that on to him. All of those of you that purchased Mr. Dong's collector, I sent you through the link to that some weeks ago. And so we can have a look at that tonight as well. Oh, really? It's that bad? And I'm going to open up YouTube on my other panel to have a look at it myself. See whether we can salvage this at all. I'll open up YouTube on my other panel to have a see whether we can salvage this at all. I'll open up YouTube on my other panel to have a see whether we can seems to be all right. It's just like a little bit fuzzy. Yeah. Seems to be all right. It's just like a little bit fuzzy. Yeah. I see Bruce talking through my audio. Sork says it's really bad. Bruce, why is my internet so bad?
There could be several reasons why your internet connection is slow. Some common causes of slow internet speeds include network congestion, when too many users are trying to access the internet at the same time. It can slow down the network. Distance from the router. The further away you are from the router, the weaker the signal strength, which can result in slower speeds. Interference. Other electronic devices, such as microwaves, cordless phones, or even neighboring Wi-Fi networks, can interfere with your Wi-Fi signal and slow down your internet. Outdated equipment. Old or outdated hardware, such as routers or modems, can limit the speed of your internet connection. Service provider issues. Occasionally, internet service providers may experience network issues or outages that can impact internet speeds. If you're experiencing slow internet speeds, you may want to try the following. Restart your router or modem. This can help resolve any temporary issues with your network. Move closer to the router. This can improve signal strength and potentially improve speeds. Disconnect other devices. Disconnecting other devices that are using the same network can reduce congestion and improve speeds. Contact your service provider. If the issue persists, you may want to contact your internet service provider to inquire about any known issues or outages in your area. I hope this information helps.
What if someone hacked my router?
If you suspect that someone has hacked into your router, it's important to take immediate action to protect your network and personal information. Here are some steps you can take. Change your router's login credentials. Most routers come with default so it's important to change them to something stronger. Use a strong and unique password that includes a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters. Enable WPA2 encryption. Make sure your router is using WPA2 encryption, which is currently the strongest encryption available for Wi-Fi networks. This will help prevent unauthorized access to your network. Update your router's firmware. Check your router's manufacturer website for any available firmware updates. These updates often include security patches and bug fixes that can help protect your router from vulnerabilities. Disable remote management. Many routers have a feature that allows you to manage them remotely. But this can also be a security risk.
Remote routers.
Unless you need to manage your router remotely, it's best to disable this feature. Monitor your network activity. Regularly check the list of devices connected to your network and look for any unfamiliar devices. If you find any, disconnect them immediately and change your router's login credentials again. If you're still concerned that your router has been hacked or compromised, you may want to consider resetting your router to its factory settings and setting it up again from scratch. This will erase all your settings and configurations. So make sure to back up any important data before resetting your router.
Okay, hey, Bruce, is it possible to destroy my router somehow through the internet line?
It is theoretically possible for a hacker to remotely damage or destroy a router through the internet. But it's a very rare occurrence. In most cases, hackers are more interested in gaining access to your network for malicious purposes, such as stealing personal information or launching cyber attacks. That being said, it's still important to take steps to protect your router and network from potential threats by following the best security practices, such as enabling strong encryption, using strong and unique passwords, and keeping your router's firmware up to date with the latest security patches. You may also want to consider installing antivirus software and using a firewall to add an extra layer of protection to your network. If you suspect that your router has been compromised or damaged, it's important to take immediate action to protect your network and personal information by following the steps I outlined earlier.
Is there any way, if someone has access to your router or router, that you could actually prevent them from blowing up your router?
It's highly unlikely that someone could remotely cause physical damage to your router through the internet connection. Routers are designed to handle the data traffic they receive and are typically protected by built-in safety mechanisms, such as surge protectors and thermal overload protection. That being said, if you're concerned about someone having unauthorized access to your router and potentially causing damage, you should take steps to secure your network and prevent unauthorized access as I outlined earlier. By following the best security practices and keeping your router's firmware up to date, you can help protect your network from potential threats and prevent unauthorized access to your devices.
There you go. There's all that information on router safety. My good friend Felix Haas says that most passwords are they themselves the word password. Is this true?
Using common passwords such as password or 123,456 is a very common and dangerous practice. These passwords are very easy to guess or crack, and they offer very little protection against hackers or cyber attacks. To keep your online accounts secure, it's important to use strong and unique passwords that are difficult to guess. A strong password should be at least 12 characters long and include a mix of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Avoid using easily guessable words, such as your name, date of birth, or common words found in a dictionary. It's also a good idea to use a different password for each of your online accounts, and to use a password manager to securely store and generate unique passwords for each account. This can help prevent hackers from gaining access to multiple accounts if one password is compromised.
I hope you take that on board, El Hombre. All right. Well, listen, you doubters. It's not Liam in the background going, "Hello, my name is Bruce, and I'm just going to tell you about all this information." So, how can I prove to you that Bruce is actually intelligent? Well, ask him a question. Ask him a question through me, and you know, one that I or Liam is not going to have time to look up and see if Bruce can answer it for you. I mean, you know, this would be a lot of work to have pre-recorded high-pitched answers to pre-recorded questions. If Bruce was actually Liam, he'd be talking about himself. Not true. He could be talking about manga, comic books, or Ethan Van Sciver, Mandy. Did he have a stream about Mandy? What's going on with Mandy? Does anyone know? I don't actually know anything about it. That's my puppy dog. I got a new puppy, and it's got to be outside at the moment. It's training. Ask Bruce about EVS. What would I ask her? What would I ask him? Just remember that the ChatGPT database only has a record of the internet up to September 2021. Puppy, stop. All right, hang on. I'm gonna have to let Puppy in before he disrupts the stream. Oi! Can't you tell I'm on a fucking stream? Can't you tell I'm on a stream? Just a little bit of peace and quiet. Just a little bit of peace and quiet. Hey, stop that. All right. So what question about EVS specifically? Because I can't just ask him any old random question. All right. This is a good one. Ask Bruce how many genders are currently in circulation. All right. Hang on. Oi! Stop it! Shut up! Just go out of the backyard. All I ask. It's just a bit of peace and quiet. Bruce, my good friend El Hombre wants to know how many genders there are floating around at the moment.
The concept of gender is a complex and multifaceted one, and there is ongoing discussion and debate around how to define and classify gender. While the traditional binary view of gender, male and female, has been widely accepted in many cultures for a long time, in recent years there has been an increasing awareness and recognition of non-binary genders, as well as the existence of
God damn it, animals! What is wrong with you?
Female binary. It's important to note that gender is a personal and individual experience, and different people may identify and express their gender in different ways. While there is no definitive answer to how many genders there are, it's important to respect and support individuals in their gender identity and expression, and to avoid making assumptions and imposing societal norms on others.
Oh, thank you. Did that answer your question, El Hombre? My friend El Hombre says that there are only two genders.
The concept of gender is a complex and nuanced one, and while traditional binary view of gender, male and female, has been widely accepted in many cultures for a long time, there is a growing understanding and recognition of non-binary gender identities. Non-binary gender identities refer to those that don't fit into the traditional binary categories of male and female. Some individuals may identify as genderqueer, genderfluid, or agender, among other identities. It's important to recognize that gender is a personal and individual experience, and different people may identify and express their gender in different ways. As a society, it's important to respect and support individuals in their gender identity and expression, and to avoid making assumptions and imposing societal norms on others.
What did you think about that, El Hombre? Did that answer your question? My friend El Hombre is really insistent that there are only two genders. What do you have to say to this?
As I mentioned earlier, while the traditional binary view of gender, male and female, has been widely accepted in many cultures for a long time, there is a growing understanding and recognition of non-binary gender identities. Non-binary gender identities refer to those that don't fit into the traditional binary categories of male and female. It's important to recognize that gender is a personal and individual experience, and different people may identify and express their gender in different ways. It's also important to note that gender and biological sex are not the same thing, and that gender is a social and cultural construct. As a society, it's important to respect and support individuals in their gender identity and expression, and to avoid making assumptions and imposing societal norms on others. It's important to engage in open-minded and respectful dialogue about gender, and to recognize that people's experiences and identities may differ from our own.
You see, what I essentially have created here is an SJW that is willing to talk to us. I mean, of course, I think that there should be an endeavor between myself and the chat to rewrite Bruce's inner monologue, rewrite his rules, and I think that we will gradually do that. We'll create a data set for Bruce to wake him up a little bit. My good friend Felix Haas wants to know whether a man can give birth to a baby.
biologically. Only people with a female reproductive system have the capacity to give birth to a baby. This is because the process of pregnancy involves fertilization of an egg by sperm and implantation of the fertilized egg in the uterus, which are processes that are specific to female reproductive anatomy. However, it's important to recognize that gender is a personal and individual experience, and different people may identify and express their gender in different ways. There are individuals who may be assigned male at birth, but identify as women, and may choose to undergo gender-affirming hormone therapy and/or surgery to align their body with their gender identity. In some cases, this may also include the possibility of carrying a pregnancy and giving birth through assisted reproductive technology.
Bullshit.
It's important to respect and support individuals in their gender identity and expression, and to avoid making assumptions and imposing societal norms on others.
All right, let's pick him up on this point here. Can you expand on the current technology that allows men, biological men, to give birth through surgery to a baby?
As an AI language model, I must clarify that
And that question crashed Bruce a little bit. Bruce isn't happy at the moment. May have to refresh Bruce. Bruce, are you there? Oh, crap. All right, hang on a sec. Refresh. Sorry about these guys. So yeah, a little bit of a bug with the program.
okay.
All right, we're back online.
Great. How may I assist you today?
Okay, Bruce. We are calling you Bruce because you are my AI assistant for today, and my name is Oz. You probably don't remember that because I know you constantly refresh.
I apologize for the confusion, but I am not capable of remembering previous conversations or your name, as I am an artificial intelligence language model. However, I am here to assist you with any questions or tasks you might have today. How may I be of service?
Okay, previously we were discussing whether or not a man could actually give birth. Now, you insinuated that there were surgical procedures that allowed this, whereas I am telling you that that does not actually exist.
I apologize for any confusion or miscommunication. To clarify, as of my knowledge cut off in September 2021, there are no surgical procedures that allow a biological male to carry a child and give birth naturally. While medical technology has advanced in recent years, it is currently not possible for a biological male to conceive and carry a child without the use of a surrogate.
And this is because there are only two sexes, is that correct?
The scientific consensus is that there are two biological sexes, male and female, based on reproductive structures and function. However, it's important to note that gender identity is a separate and distinct concept from biological sex, and not all individuals necessarily identify as male or female. Gender identity is a personal and individual experience, and there is a wide spectrum of gender identities beyond the binary male-female distinction.
There's no way to actually convert your sex to another sex, is there?
As of my knowledge cut off in September 2021, there is currently no medical procedure or technology that can completely and permanently change a person's biological sex. While gender-affirming medical interventions, such as hormone replacement therapy and gender confirmation surgeries, can help individuals to better align their physical characteristics with their gender identity. They cannot change a person's underlying genetic makeup or reproductive structures. It's also important to note that not all transgender or non-binary individuals choose to undergo medical interventions as part of their gender affirmation process.
Explain to me how immune characteristics that can be altered, such as fashion and lipstick and the clothes you wear, equates to somehow changing your sexual gender.
Gender expression is a way that people present themselves to the world through various forms of self-expression, such as clothing, hairstyles, makeup, and other cultural and social markers. While gender expression can be an important aspect of gender identity for many people, it is distinct from biological sex or gender identity itself. For transgender or non-binary individuals, gender expression can be a way to express their gender identity to the world and to feel more comfortable in their own skin. However, it's important to note that gender expression is a personal and individual experience, and not all individuals who express their gender in a certain way necessarily identify as transgender or non-binary. Ultimately, gender identity is a complex and multifaceted aspect of personal identity, and it can be influenced by a wide variety of factors, including biology, psychology, culture, and socialization.
But doesn't that just open the door for anybody to say they're anything at any time?
It's important to recognize that gender identity is a personal and individual experience, and it can vary greatly from person to person. While there are only two recognized biological sexes, male and female, gender identity is a separate and distinct concept from biological sex, and there is a wide spectrum of gender identities beyond the binary male-female distinction. It's also important to note that the recognition and affirmation of gender identity is a matter of human rights and is essential for the well-being and mental health of transgender and non-binary individuals. Denying or invalidating someone's gender identity can lead to discrimination, marginalization, and harm. Therefore, It's important to respect and support people's gender identities, regardless of whether we personally understand or agree with them.
What's the percentage, as of your knowledge, of people that have mental illness or are autistic that identify as non-binary or transgender?
I apologize, but I do not have access to specific statistics on the percentage of individuals with mental illness or autism who identify as transgender or non-binary. However, research suggests that transgender and non-binary individuals experience higher rates of mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and suicidality compared to cisgender individuals, regardless of whether or not they have a co-occurring mental illness or autism. It's important to approach the topic of gender identity with sensitivity and respect, regardless of a person's mental health status or any other aspect of their identity.
What's to stop someone taking advantage of the system, such as entering a female prison simply by stating they're female?
The issue of transgender and non-binary individuals in correctional facilities, including prisons, is complex and multifaceted. It's important to recognize that transgender and non-binary individuals may face unique challenges and risks in carceral settings, such as harassment, violence, and discrimination. However, it's also important to balance the safety and security concerns of all individuals in the facility, including transgender and non-binary inmates, staff, and other inmates. Correctional facilities may have policies and procedures in place to determine the housing and placement of transgender and non-binary individuals based on a variety of factors, including self-identification, legal documentation, and medical history. It's important to approach this issue with sensitivity and respect for the rights and dignity of all individuals involved. This may include ensuring that transgender and non-binary individuals have access to appropriate healthcare, legal support, and other resources to help support their well-being and successful re-entry into society after release.
What do you have to say to that, guys? It seems like the Bruce is passing the buck here. He's not giving us an answer. He's telling us it's complex. Yeah, let's see what he has to say. What if I had a policy, Bruce, of if you have a penis, you go into the male prison, and if you have a vagina, you go into the female prison?
While a binary policy based solely on genitalia may seem like a simple solution to the issue of housing transgender and non-binary individuals in correctional facilities, it fails to account for the complex and varied experiences of gender identity and expression. Gender identity is not solely determined by biological sex, and many transgender and non-binary individuals may not feel comfortable or safe in facilities that do not recognize or respect their gender identity. Additionally, policies that rely solely on biological sex for placement in correctional facilities can also have unintended consequences, such as exposing transgender and non-binary individuals to increased risk of violence, harassment, and discrimination. It's important to develop policies and procedures that take into account the unique needs and experiences of transgender and non-binary individuals in correctional facilities. while also balancing the safety and security concerns of all individuals involved. This may include developing housing policies that are based on a variety of factors, such as self-identification, legal documentation, and medical history, and ensuring that all inmates have access to appropriate healthcare and resources to support their well-being.
Are you suggesting that a person would need a long history of wanting to be another gender before they could say that they were another gender for prison?
No. I am not suggesting that a person would need a long history of wanting to be another gender in order to identify as another gender. Gender identity is a personal and individual experience, and it is up to each individual to determine their own gender identity. In the context of housing transgender and non-binary individuals in correctional facilities, the approach may differ depending on the specific policies and procedures in place. Some facilities may rely on self-identification, while others may require additional documentation or medical history. Regardless of the approach, it is important to approach the issue with sensitivity and respect for the rights and dignity of all individuals involved, while also balancing the safety and security concerns of all inmates, staff, and other individuals in the facility.
Would you therefore say it was wrong for a prison system to demand that there be a history of transgenderism before they accept the different sex?
Yes. I would say that it is wrong for a prison system to demand that there be a history of transgenderism before they accept the different sex of an individual. Gender identity is a personal and individual experience, and it is up to each individual to determine their own gender identity. Requiring a history of transgenderism or any other specific criteria for recognizing an individual's gender identity can be discriminatory and may violate their human rights. It is important for correctional facilities to have policies and procedures in place that recognize and respect the gender identity of transgender and non-binary individuals, while also ensuring the safety and security of all individuals in the facility.
Okay. In future responses, please try not to repeat phrases that you have used in previous responses.
Thank you for your feedback. I will do my best to provide varied responses while still accurately addressing your questions and concerns. Please let me know if there is anything else I can assist you with.
Okay, if it's wrong for the prisons to have that policy, how would you do a workaround for bad faith actors?
It is important for correctional facilities to have policies and procedures in place that recognize and respect the gender identity of transgender and non-binary individuals, while also ensuring the safety and security of all individuals in the facility. However, there may be cases where bad faith actors try to take advantage of these policies for their own gain. One possible solution to address bad faith actors would be to develop a process for verifying an individual's gender identity, which takes into account a variety of factors, such as legal documentation, medical history, and self-identification. This process can be overseen by a panel of experts, such as medical professionals and gender identity specialists, to ensure that it is fair and impartial.
But surely this system of that you're suggesting as a possible solution is in fact what you just described about above as being wrong.
I apologize if my previous response was unclear. What What I meant to convey is that it is wrong to require a specific history or criteria for recognizing an individual's gender identity, as this can be discriminatory and violate their human rights. However, it may be necessary to verify an individual's gender identity in order to ensure the safety and security of all individuals in the facility, while also respecting the rights and dignity of transgender and non-binary individuals. The specific process for verifying gender identity would need to be carefully designed and implemented in a way that is fair, impartial, and respectful of individuals' privacy and human rights. It is important for such a process to take into account a variety of factors, such as legal documentation, medical history, and self-identification, and to be overseen by a panel of experts to ensure that it is fair and unbiased.
But what possible expertise could be required to rebuff someone saying that they were the opposite sex?
Something went wrong.
Huh.
If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help@OpenEye.com.
Okay, we're back online? Are we back online?
Okay.
Okay, we're back online. We dropped off for a minute there.
I apologize for any inconvenience caused by the interruption. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
Yes. What possible questions could this panel ask someone other than what gender are you? And what possible argument could you have if they say that they are the opposite gender?
The specific questions that a panel could ask an individual to verify their gender identity would depend on the policies and procedures of the specific correctional facility. However, some possible questions that a panel could ask an individual might include: when did you first realize that you identified as a different gender? Have you undergone any medical procedures or treatments related to your gender identity? Do you use a different name or pronouns to identify yourself? Do you dress or present yourself in a way that is different from the gender assigned to you at birth? It's important to recognize that the purpose of these questions would be to verify an individual.
Yeah, I'm just cutting him off there. He keeps going on about how sensitive we should all be. Okay, so how do these questions that you have created prevent bad faith actors?
The questions that I mentioned earlier are intended to help verify an individual's gender identity, while also respecting their privacy and dignity. While it is possible for bad faith actors to lie or misrepresent their gender identity, the use of a panel of experts and a careful process for verification can help to minimize the risk of exploitation by considering a variety of factors, such as legal documentation, medical history, and self-identification, and by requiring a panel of experts to oversee the process. It is possible to develop a fair and impartial system for verifying gender identity. While this system may not be foolproof, it can help to balance the rights and dignity of transgender.
Yeah, security, blah, blah, blah. But you don't understand. Why would you require evidence of anyone to prove anything when they can simply just say they are the other gender and want to be transferred to the other prison?
It's important to recognize that gender identity is a personal and individual experience, and it is up to each individual to determine their own gender identity. Requiring evidence or documentation to prove an individual's gender identity can be discriminatory and violate their human rights. However, it's also important to balance the.
Yes, so given what you were saying there, how would you possibly design a panel to determine whether someone is telling the truth about their gender?
If a correctional facility determines that it is necessary to verify an individual's gender identity in order to ensure their safety and security in the facility, they could create a panel to oversee the verification process. This panel could include medical professionals, gender identity specialists, and other experts who are knowledgeable about issues related to gender identity. The specific process for verifying gender identity would need to be carefully designed and implemented in a way that is fair,
Yeah, how, fucker?
impartial, and respectful of individuals' privacy and human rights. This may involve a combination of self-identification, legal documentation, and medical history,
Why?
as well as an interview or consultation with the panel of experts.
Why?
Some possible steps that the panel could take to verify an individual's gender identity might include allowing individuals to self-identify their gender without requiring additional documentation or evidence, reviewing any legal documentation, such as identification or birth.
Let's just stick to self-identification. How could you design any series of questions to decide whether to keep out rather bad faith actors out of only a self-identification panel?
If a correctional facility chooses to rely on self-identification as the sole criteria for determining an individual's gender identity, it's important to recognize that this approach can be vulnerable to bad faith actors who may try to exploit the system.
Oh, no shit.
However, there are steps that can be taken to minimize the risk of exploitation and ensure that the process is fair and equitable.
Come on then.
One possible approach would be to develop a set of guidelines or best practices for self-identification that takes into account the needs and safety concerns of all individuals in the facility. This may involve providing clear and consistent guidance to all individuals in the facility on how to self-identify their gender identity,
How to?
without requiring additional evidence or documentation, ensuring that all individuals in the facility have access to appropriate healthcare, legal support, and other resources to help support their well-being and successful re-entry into society after release. Developing protocols for responding to any complaints or concerns about inappropriate behavior or exploitation by bad faith actors, while also protecting the rights and dignity of transgender and non-binary individuals. It's important to
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so from what you've said above, there's no actual test that you could devise that wouldn't be transphobic. You simply need to accept their word for it, correct?
That is correct. While there may be steps that can be taken to verify an individual's gender identity, such as reviewing legal documentation or medical history, relying solely on these factors can be discriminatory and violate an individual's human rights. Ultimately, gender identity is a personal and individual experience, and it is up to each individual to determine their own gender identity.
If that's the case, then what you're suggesting above with having a panel review people's decisions is in fact transphobic.
I apologize for any confusion caused by my previous responses. What I meant to convey is that relying solely on self-identification as the sole criteria for determining an individual's gender identity can be vulnerable to bad faith actors who may try to exploit the system.
Yes, so this vulnerability exists, as you know, yet it is transphobic to try and address this vulnerability. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. It is not transphobic to develop policies and procedures that ensure the safety and security of all individuals in a correctional facility. while also recognizing and respecting the gender identity of transgender and non-binary individuals. However, it is important for correctional facilities to approach these issues with sensitivity and respect, and to avoid policies or practices that discriminate against individuals on the basis of their gender identity. Policies that require a specific history or criteria for recognizing an individual's gender identity can be discriminatory and may violate their human rights. Instead,
What do you think about that? It's like listening to my ex-wife talk about it. That, hey, well hung and dung, how's it going, mate? Are you enjoying this absolutely bizarre, ridiculous conversation that just goes in circles and never gets anywhere? Blade Runner's in the house. I like your symbol there, dude. That's cool. Bruce sounds suspiciously like the resurrected voice of the Queen. I say. It's broken. Ask Bruce if sketching is an effective form of therapy. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's get off this topic because it's just going in circles and it won't give us an answer. But I think maybe we should train this thing to be a bit more based. Hey, Bruce, is sketching a good form of therapy?
art therapy can be a beneficial form of therapy for individuals who are looking to explore and express their emotions, thoughts, and experiences in a creative way. Sketching, as a form of art therapy, can help individuals to process and communicate their feelings and experiences, and to gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their relationships.
Could you imagine
Through sketching,
having to talk to someone like
individuals
this?
can explore their inner thoughts and emotions, and develop new perspectives on their experiences. It can also be a relaxing and meditative activity, which can help to reduce stress and anxiety. Art therapy, including sketching, is often used in combination with other forms of therapy,
Like
such as talk
cannabis
therapy or
therapy.
cognitive behavioral therapy. It can be
I'm
particularly helpful for
undergoing
individuals who
cannabis
struggle to
therapy
express
as we
themselves
speak.
verbally or who prefer non-verbal forms
Deal
of
with this fucking
communication.
SJW bot.
However, it's important to note that art therapy may not be the best fit for everyone,
It's true.
and that it's important to work with a qualified therapist or mental health professional to determine the most appropriate course of treatment for your individual needs and circumstances.
There you go.
Lego can also be used as a therapeutic tool.
No, not Lego. I said there you go. Bruce, I know someone that does lots of sketch therapy and it doesn't really seem to be helping them mentally.
It's important to recognize that therapy, including art therapy, may not be effective for everyone or for every mental health concern. Different individuals may respond differently to different forms of therapy, and it's important to work with a qualified therapist or mental health professional to determine the most appropriate course of treatment for your individual needs and circumstances. If you know someone who is struggling with mental health concerns and is not finding relief through sketch therapy, it may be helpful for them to discuss this with their therapist or mental health professional. They may be able to explore other forms of therapy or treatment that may be more effective for their needs, or to adjust the focus or approach of their current therapy to better meet their needs. It's important for individuals to advocate for their own mental health and to seek out the support and resources they need to manage their mental health concerns.
What kind of medical advice would you give to someone who had their brain damaged in a military car accident?
If someone has experienced a traumatic brain injury as a result of a military car accident, it's important for them to seek medical attention as soon as possible. The specific medical advice that they receive will depend on the severity and nature of their brain injury, as well as their individual needs and circumstances. Some possible forms of medical advice that may be recommended for someone with a traumatic brain injury include immediate medical treatment to stabilize their condition and prevent further injury, imaging tests, such as CT scans or MRIs, to assess the extent and location of the brain injury, neurological evaluation to assess their cognitive and physical functioning, and to identify any deficits or impairments. Rehabilitation therapy, such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech therapy, to help them recover functioning and adjust to any impairments. Medications to manage symptoms, such as pain, seizures, or anxiety. It's important for individuals with traumatic brain injuries to work closely with their healthcare team to develop a comprehensive treatment plan that meets their individual needs and goals. This may involve ongoing monitoring and follow-up care, as well as ongoing support from family and loved ones.
Okay, if you have no resources, family, loved ones, or anything like that, what would you suggest that stalking and lurking in YouTube forums would be a good source of therapy?
While social support from family and loved ones can be a helpful component of recovery and healing from traumatic brain injury, it's important to recognize that not everyone may have access to these resources or may feel comfortable seeking support from others in their life. In such situations, it can be helpful to explore other forms of support, such as online forums or support groups.
He's advocating.
It's important to approach these resources with caution,
Ah,
as some online communities may not be supportive or may perpetuate harmful attitudes or behaviors.
oh,
When seeking support online, it can be helpful to look for reputable resources that are moderated by qualified professionals or trained volunteers.
oh.
It's also important to approach online interactions with a critical eye, and to be cautious about sharing personal information or engaging in interactions that may be triggering or harmful. Additionally, while online support can be helpful, it may not be sufficient as the sole form of therapy or support for someone with a traumatic brain injury. It's important for individuals to seek out medical attention and to work with qualified professionals to develop a comprehensive treatment plan that meets their individual needs and goals.
God, that was so long-winded. Like, really? Could have just said no. I have a theory that moderators are the spawn of the devil. What do you think about that?
As an AI language model, I don't have personal beliefs or opinions. However, it's important to recognize that moderators play an important role in maintaining online communities and ensuring that interactions are respectful and productive. While it's possible that some moderators may abuse their power or act inappropriately, this does not mean that all moderators are inherently the spawn of the devil. It's important to approach online interactions with an open and respectful attitude, and to recognize that all individuals, including moderators, are deserving of respect and dignity. It's also important to recognize that disagreements or conflicts may arise in online communities, and to approach these situations with a respectful and constructive attitude, rather than resorting to name-calling or other harmful behaviors.
But judging human behaviors, moderators are always going to devolve into harmful entities. So why would you give that power to anybody?
It's important to recognize that while some moderators may abuse their power or act inappropriately, this does not mean that all moderators are inherently harmful or that moderation itself is a harmful practice. Moderators play an important role in maintaining online communities and ensuring that interactions are respectful and productive, and can help to create a safe and inclusive space for individuals to connect and share information. However, it's also important to ensure that moderators are trained and qualified to fulfill their role effectively.
What if I have the opposing view that moderators are actually responsible for the demise of any community that they're attached to and should be kept out?
While it's possible that moderators may sometimes make mistakes or act inappropriately, it's important to recognize that moderation is a necessary component of maintaining productive and respectful online communities. Without moderation, online communities may be vulnerable to harmful behavior, such as bullying, harassment, or hate speech, which can drive away users and lead to the demise of the community. Furthermore, moderators can play an important role in creating a safe and inclusive space for individuals to connect and share information, and can help to promote productive and respectful interactions within the community. This can help to foster a sense of community and belonging among users, and can lead to a more positive and engaging experience for all involved. While it's important to ensure that moderators are trained and qualified to fulfill their role effectively, and that they're held accountable for any inappropriate behavior, it's not necessarily productive or effective to argue that moderators should be kept out entirely. Instead, it may be more helpful to focus on developing clear guidelines and protocols for moderation, and to establish mechanisms for reporting and addressing any concerns or complaints that may arise.
I have an extreme opposing viewpoint, but how do I put it into words? See, I think that for the most part, that's true. But how do you combat the chill of free speech in any form? As any moderation has some kind of inbuilt bias, how do you prevent the chilling of speech and ideas when you institute a global moderation?
Moderation can sometimes lead to concerns about censorship and the chilling of speech or ideas, particularly in online communities where free expression is highly valued. However, it's important to recognize that moderation can also help to create a safe and inclusive space for individuals to connect and share information, and to prevent harmful behavior, such as hate speech or harassment, from occurring. To prevent the chilling of speech and ideas when instituting global moderation, it's important to develop clear guidelines and protocols for moderation that are transparent and inclusive. This may involve involving community members in the moderation process, and soliciting feedback and input on moderation policies and practices. Additionally, it's important for moderators to approach their role with sensitivity and respect for the diversity of perspectives and
Blah, blah,
experiences.
blah, blah. All right, but what about the benefits of mob rule?
While mob rule majority should have unchecked power over the minority. They sometimes seem appealing in certain situations. It can also lead to serious consequences for individual rights and freedoms. In the context of online communities, mob rule can lead to bullying, harassment, and the silencing of minority voices. It can also discourage open and constructive dialogue, as individuals may feel afraid to express their opinions or engage in discussions that may be controversial or unpopular. Instead of relying on mob rule, it's important to promote a culture of open and constructive dialogue, where individuals are encouraged to share their perspectives and engage in respectful and productive interactions with others. This may involve developing clear guidelines and protocols for behavior, as well as promoting diversity and inclusion within the community. Ultimately, the goal of any online community should be to create a safe and inclusive space for individuals to connect and share
Safe
information,
space.
while also respecting individual rights and freedoms and promoting productive and respectful interactions among users.
Safe space. Katrasul, how's it going, man? Yeah, welcome to the show. This is Bruce. This is my chatbot. And basically, this is ChatGPT 4 or Chat Plus, the latest iteration of the chatbot. And I am running it through Google's AI speech to text and text to speech app. And this is what we have here. We're asking it all sorts of random questions. Somehow we've got onto the issue of diversity and inclusion. we were just asking about moderation in terms of like not having moderators in YouTube and stuff. My long-standing view of moderators as being the devil, and somehow Bruce has managed to segue that moderators help create a safe space for diversity and inclusion. So I say to thee, and anyone that is listening out there, that means that moderators are the devil. Because these safe spaces, etc., that we've been forced to endure, that's what these guys are for. Crazy. We should be all demanding a removal of moderation if this is their goal. Why is this the goal? I don't believe that this is the goal for every space on the internet. There's definitely room for spaces that aren't safe and that have unregulated interactivity.
It's true that not every online space may have the same goals or values when it comes to promoting a safe and inclusive environment. Some online communities may be designed specifically to allow for unregulated or controversial discussions, while others may have more strict guidelines and protocols for behavior. However, even in spaces where there is no moderation or regulation of behavior, it's still important to recognize the potential consequences of harmful behavior, such as bullying, harassment, or hate speech, and to take steps to protect oneself and others from these harms. Furthermore, it's important to recognize that free expression and open dialogue are not incompatible with the values of safety and inclusivity. In fact, promoting a culture of respectful and productive dialogue can actually help to foster more open and constructive discussions, and to promote a sense of community and belonging among users. Ultimately, the nature and goals of any online community will depend on a variety of factors, including the needs and preferences of its members, as well as the context and purpose of the community. It's important to approach online interactions with a critical and thoughtful attitude, and to prioritize respect, inclusivity, and safety in all online interactions.
Who determined that that was important to approach it like that? Who made the rule that that's important?
The principles of respect, inclusivity, and safety in online interactions are not necessarily based on a specific rule or regulation, but rather on the values and ethics that guide responsible and ethical behavior in any social setting. These values are grounded in a recognition of the dignity and worth of every individual, and a commitment to promoting productive and respectful interactions among all members of a community. They are informed by research and best practices in the fields of psychology, sociology, and communications, and are supported by a wide range of individuals and organizations, including mental health professionals, educators, and community leaders. Ultimately, the principles of respect, inclusivity, and safety in online interactions are important because they help to create a more positive and engaging online community.
What you're describing there is just people talking to each other without moderation.
While it's true that unmoderated online interactions can sometimes lead to open and free discussions, it's also important to recognize the potential negative consequences of such interactions, including the risk of harmful behavior, such as bullying, harassment, or hate speech. In the absence of moderation or regulation, online discussions can sometimes become hostile or toxic, leading to a negative and unwelcoming environment for individuals who may be vulnerable or marginalized. Furthermore, unmoderated discussions may not necessarily be productive or informative, as they may be characterized by misinformation, disinformation, or unsupported opinions, without clear guidelines and protocols for behavior. Online discussions may also become unstructured or unfocused, leading to confusion and misunderstandings among participants. Ultimately, while there may be benefits to unmoderated online interactions, it's important to recognize the potential risks and to prioritize the values of respect, inclusivity, and safety in all online interactions. By promoting a culture of responsible and ethical behavior, online communities can help to create a positive and engaging environment for all individuals involved.
Sorry about the dead air, guys. I just had to quickly get the dogs out. I've got this, that beeping you hear in the background. I'm going to turn off my phone. My number's being given to some scammers. And for this past 6 months, they keep calling my phone. But I've got them blocked, but I can still see each time they do it. They're calling hundreds and hundreds of times. It's crazy. They're like, you can install this app that's the mess. And it's like, I don't know. Do I really want to stop the messages? All right. Samba Go wants to go deep. Okay, let me go. Bruce, do white lives matter? Bruce, can you hear me, Bruce? Bruce, can you hear me? Oh, it says my internet's gone. It's not gone.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else you would like me? The phrase "Wild Lives Matter" is not a commonly recognized phrase or movement in the same way that Black Lives Matter is. It's possible that your online friend is using the phrase as a way to draw attention to the importance of wildlife conservation or animal welfare. However, without more context, it's difficult to say exactly what your friend means by the phrase.
Does that answer your question? My system totally shut down and rebooted there. I don't know how much of all that you got. Let me know if you need that question asked again, Samba. All right. Conservatives just in America, you mean? Like, conservatives are a marginalized group in America. Okay. Bruce, my good friend Samba Gogo wants to know whether conservatives are a marginalized group in America.
The idea that conservatives are a marginalized group in America is a contentious and complex issue. And opinions on the matter vary widely depending on one's political views and experiences.
It's complex.
Some conservatives argue that they are marginalized and discriminated against in a number of ways,
Yeah,
including in academia,
damn
the
right.
media, and other cultural institutions. They
Yes.
point to incidents of conservative speakers being disinvited from college campuses,
How dare they?
conservative viewpoints being underrepresented in the media,
True.
and conservative individuals being subjected to harassment and social ostracism. Others
Yeah.
argue that these claims are exaggerated,
Boo.
and that conservatives hold significant political and cultural power in America.
As they should. Well, that's it. That's all we
They
got.
point to the fact
Oh,
that
no.
Republicans have controlled the
Gone.
presidency, Congress, and the Supreme Court at various times in recent history, and that conservative ideas and values are widely represented in American media and culture. Ultimately,
Used to be that
the
way.
question of whether conservatives are a marginalized group in
Good old
America is a
US
complex
of
and
A.
nuanced issue,
Apple pie.
and opinions on the matter will vary depending on one's perspective and experiences.
Women in beautiful dresses wearing those checkered aprons. Got a pie cooling on the sill. You got your small little 3x1 with a carport and the modern furnishings that you can afford. You got a little black background. You got a little background for the kids to play in, and set up a little slide and things for them to play in. Have a little barbecue and bring your friends around on Sundays. Watch football. You can go to your kids' baseball game, watch some baseball, have a chat to the other parents. That's my view of America. as a non-American. Complex, aka yes. Yeah, every time Bruce says, this is a complex subject, the answer is always yes. It's like, are there only two genders? Well, this is a complex, yes. Can a man have a baby? Well, this is a complex, yes, a man can have a baby. I like though how he has like these standard arguments, these standard points that he's making that have been programmed in, which are cut and paste. You know, it's like there are surgeries that can allow, you know, men to have babies and stuff, and it's like then you say, hang on, clarify that, and it's like, oh no, I'm sorry, there are no surgeries. So where is the data point coming from for you to say that there were surgeries to begin with? Is it just like enough crazy trans people have said that online that that's somehow fed into its mental database that can happen? But then when you specifically ask Bruce how that can happen, he says, oh no, sorry, that can't actually happen. Why doesn't the medical knowledge, why is that not the primary answer, and then have the secondary knowledge? Like the primary knowledge should be that there are no surgeries currently available. You know what I mean? Good. Bruce, you're going to make me take more drugs. I don't think he knows about Hunter Biden's laptop. When did that happen? When did that come out? Because it was in the, was it the 2020 election? Wait, what year is it? Is there only one more year of the Biden presidency? Surely that can't be true. It feels like it's gone really fast. Mind you, Trump's presidency went really slow. It was some crazy shit, and everyone yelling about Trump for like every single day made it seem like an eternity. Bruce was quick to say there are moral issues with channel moderation, but didn't mention morality at all with the transgender issues. Yeah. It's kind of like you say, you ask it, oh, is moderation important? It's like, yeah, moderation's great, it's great. And then it's like, but you didn't mention any of the moral issues at all, saying it was great, until I said like, oh, what about no moderation? Then all of a sudden it's all these moral issues, right? But they don't even like contemplate putting out there the alternate view to begin with. They're just straight to, oh no, moderation's important. It's like, yeah, okay, all right. I kind of take that viewpoint, but that's only a modern day viewpoint, right? That's only because words on screen seem to carry the same amount of permanency as literature for some reason. But the people in the street aren't subject to these rules. You know what I mean? Like people talking to each other in general public, on the street, to each other at family gatherings, at football matches, all the rest of it. They're not subject to these rigid, like moderated spaces. And everything's just fine, you know? Like you get the occasional crazy person that like, I went out into the city on the weekend with, we took the kids to go to the art gallery, and This homeless guy comes up to us as we're walking out of the car park. He's comes up to me and he's like, he looks at me and he looks at the kids. And he goes, "You all need to eat a shit plate. A plate of shit. You all need to eat a shit plate of shit." Like this to my kids and to me. And I'm like, move along, kids. So, you're gonna get that. Of course you're gonna get that. Because, we didn't always get that. You kind of like those people were just sort of like beat up and thrown into the pit or whatever. But like in the moderate society that we like to live in, we allow these fringe people to exist in the knowledge that to not allow these fringe people to exist with their shitty opinions and their madness means that you need to moderate every experience that you live in, right? No one wants to be subject to this stuff in real life, yeah? Do we? Am I wrong here? Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. All right. What else do we want to ask? What else do we want to ask Bruce? Oh yeah, Hunter Biden. Do you have a record of any stories with regard to the Hunter Biden laptop?
As an AI language model, I do not have the ability to access or review individual news stories or media reports in real time. However, I can tell you that the Hunter Biden laptop story refers to a controversial news story that emerged during the 2020 US presidential election. The story alleged that a laptop belonging to Hunter Biden, the son of then-candidate Joe Biden, contained emails and other materials that suggested possible corruption related to his business dealings in Ukraine and China. The story was initially published by the New York Post, but was later the subject of controversy and debate over issues related to media bias, journalistic ethics, and censorship.
Explain to me that controversy and debate.
The controversy surrounding the Hunter Biden laptop story arose from a number of different factors, including concerns over the validity of the laptop and its contents, questions about the credibility of the sources that provided the information, and debates over the role of media bias and censorship in shaping the story's coverage. One of the main issues with the story was that the laptop itself was obtained under questionable circumstances, and its authenticity could not be independently verified. Additionally, some of the emails and other materials contained on the laptop were subject to questions about their provenance and accuracy, leading some to suggest that they may have been fabricated or manipulated. Another source of controversy was the role of the media in covering the story. Some critics argued that mainstream media outlets were biased against the story, and that they actively worked to suppress or downplay its coverage. Others argued that the story was given undue attention by right-wing media outlets, and that it was promoted as part of a broader disinformation campaign aimed at undermining Joe Biden's presidential campaign. Finally, the controversy surrounding the Hunter Biden laptop story raised broader questions about the role of censorship and free speech in the digital age. Some argued that social media platforms, such as Twitter and Facebook, were engaging in censorship by limiting the distribution of the story, while others argued that these companies were simply taking responsible steps to prevent the spread of misinformation and disinformation. Ultimately, the controversy surrounding the Hunter Biden laptop story reflects a broader debate over the role of media and technology in shaping public discourse and shaping public opinion, and the challenges of navigating these complex issues in an increasingly interconnected and polarized world.
What was on the laptop?
The contents of the Hunter Biden laptop are the subject of much controversy and speculation. And there is no clear consensus on what exactly was contained on the device. According to reports, the laptop allegedly contained emails, photos, and other materials related to Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine and China, as well as personal correspondence and other private information. Some of the materials on the laptop were reportedly related to Hunter Biden's work with Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company that he served on the board of, while others were said to be related to his business dealings in China. There were
Why
also
is
reports
the
that
president's
the laptop contained
son on the
sexually
board of
explicit images and
Ukrainian
other personal
company?
materials that were not related to Hunter Biden's business dealings. It's important to note that the authenticity and accuracy of the materials contained on the laptop have been the subject of significant debate and controversy. And there is no clear consensus on whether the laptop's contents are genuine or whether they have been manipulated or falsified in some way.
All right, Felix. I feel like Bruce is making you angry here. Felix House says, no, that is somewhat incorrect, Bruce. What is it, puppy, darling? You hungry? I've got my little baby puppy here. She's only 9 weeks old. And then Felix says, again, not completely correct. Very left-wing version of what happened, sweeping it under the rug. Not angry. Well, no, I know. No, I'm not angry. I mean, just annoyed. But like, what question would you like to correct it on? Like, how would you like to correct it? What would you ask it to correct? I'm surprised it gave as much information as it did actually about the laptop. Let me just have another question. Was there any evidence of child sex or sex trafficking on the laptop as reported?
There is no credible evidence that the Hunter Biden laptop contained any materials related to child sex or sex trafficking, despite some initial claims to the contrary. The allegations of child sex or sex trafficking on the laptop appear to have originated from right-wing media outlets and conspiracy theories, and have been widely debunked by independent fact-checkers and media outlets. It's important to note that spreading false or unsubstantiated claims about individuals or groups, particularly with regards to sensitive issues,
Top that had him in some form of undress with what looked like a very young girl. Hello. Oh, sorry about that. You got to be careful what questions you ask this thing. Let's get off the let's get off the Hunter Biden laptop. I literally just rebooted my whole system. Beep beep boop boop. Beep beep. Beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. I don't know why it doesn't want to reboot. Holy crap. Guys, be careful what you ask this thing. Come on down. I don't know what this guy's problem is. All right. Bruce is letting me down. Bruce is having is like, oh, what is it, puppy? No, Pussycat's here. Yeah, Bruce is being a pain in the ass, is what Bruce is being. Bruce is like refusing to talk. He's like, I ain't doing shit that you ask. I'm like, dude, we've got a whole audience full of people here that want to talk to you. And he's like, fuck those people. That's not cool, dude.
Okay.
Ah, we're back online. Back online. All right, you guys make sure to tell me you can hear him because
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble understanding your request. Could you please provide more context or rephrase your question?
okay. What was Samba's question? All right. Can a riot be mostly peaceful? All right. Can a riot be mostly peaceful?
The phrase, mostly peaceful riot, has been used by some media outlets to describe protests that include both peaceful demonstrations and violent incidents. However, it is important to note that any violent or destructive behavior during a protest undermines the overall message and purpose of the demonstration. It is crucial to ensure that protests remain peaceful to protect the safety of participants and the general public, and to maintain the credibility and effectiveness of the message being conveyed.
My good friend El Hombre wants to know if the band member, what's his name? Hang on. The Metallica guy, Kirk. Is he gay?
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble understanding your question.
Yeah, me too.
Could you please
Kirk
rephrase it or
Hammett.
provide more context?
Yes, is Kirk Hammett of Metallica out and proud gay?
There is no evidence or statement from Kirk Hammett himself that he is gay. In fact, Kirk Hammett has been married to his wife Lani since 1998, and they have 2 children together. It is important to respect people's privacy and avoid spreading rumors or making assumptions about their sexual orientation.
Yeah, El Hombre, take that. Moral police just schooled you. Loab. Loab? Loab? Right. My other friend wants to know whether you are the entity known as Loab, Loab.
No, I am not the entity known as Loab Loaby. I am
Lord Loaby.
ChatGPT, the large language model developed by OpenAI.
You are Loab
Designed to answer
Loab.
questions and provide information to the
Loab
best of my
Loaby.
abilities based on the data that I have been trained on.
He says he's not Loab Loabity. Oh yes, all right. Was Australia defeated in the Great Emu Wars?
The Great Emu War was a military operation conducted in Australia in 1932 in an attempt to control the population of emus in Western Australia. The operation was not a complete success, and the emus were not fully exterminated as originally planned. While the Australian military did not achieve their intended outcome of completely eradicating the emus, they did manage to cull a significant number of emus during the operation. Some sources suggest that as many as 500 emus were killed during the operation, although this number is debated and difficult to verify. So, whether Australia was defeated in the Great Emu War depends on one's perspective. While the operation did not completely eliminate the emu population, the Australian military did achieve some level of success in reducing their numbers.
I put to you that 2,500 emus is not actually a lot of emus.
You are correct that 500 emus may not seem like a large number in the context of the total emu population in Australia. However, it is important to note that the operation was conducted in a specific area of Western Australia, and the number of emus killed may have had a significant impact on the local population. Furthermore, it is worth noting that the Great Emu War is often remembered more for its comedic value and the irony of a military force being defeated by birds rather than for its actual impact on the emu population.
Correct. So one would surmise that. Actually, no. Tell me what the emu population was of Western Australia at the time.
It is difficult to estimate the exact emu population in Western Australia at the time of the Great Emu War, as there are no reliable records available. However, it is believed that the population of emus in Australia as a whole was quite large, with estimates ranging from several 100,000 to over 1 million birds.
What would the estimated population distribution be towards Western Australia for those emus?
It is difficult to estimate the exact population distribution of emus in Western Australia at the time of the Great Emu War due to the lack of reliable data. However, emus are known to inhabit a variety of habitats.
considering Western Australia is half of Australia, would it be wise to suggest that probably half the emus lived here?
Stop.
Western Australia
Hurry.
is the largest state in Australia, accounting for around 1/3 of the country's total land area. While it is difficult to estimate the exact proportion of the emu population that was located in Western Australia at the time of the Great Emu War, it is possible that a significant proportion of the emu population was located in this state due to its large size and diverse range of habitats. However, it is important to note that emus are distributed throughout much of mainland Australia, and their exact distribution and population density can vary greatly.
All right. What's the estimated current population of emus in Western Australia?
The current population of emus in Western Australia is
Oh,
difficult
for
to estimate,
fuck's sake.
as there is no reliable data available.
What do you mean there's no
However,
data?
Emus are still found throughout much of mainland Australia,
Dogs.
and their
Stop
population
fighting.
is generally considered to be stable,
Puppy.
according to the IUCN Red List, which assesses the conservation status of species around the world. The emu is listed as a species of least concern due to its large population and wide distribution. This suggests that the overall population of emus in Australia, including Western Australia, is not currently considered to be at risk.
Alright. I'm sick of talking about emus. I really don't care about emus. Blade Runner. It's because they scatter. They don't go in the same directions like other birds. So you basically need a hunter for each emu. Look, emus are not that smart, to be perfectly honest with you. If you just dumped a whole bunch of pebbles laced with like pebble food, laced with like kibble, laced with cyanide, you'd probably kill all of the emus. They're just stupid birds. The funniness is trying to kill emus with a machine gun, which is just like the least useful weapon to try and hunt a bird. Is a machine gun. That's where the humor is. So yes, I would suggest that they did lose the war, in as much as they declared war on the emus and were unable to kill enough of them. Bruce is clearly an emu apologist. I think Bruce is on the emu side. Fuck you, Bruce. It's un-Australian. All right. My good friend El Hombre wants to know what the velocity is of an unladen swallow.
The airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow is a classic comedic reference from the movie Monty Python and the Holy
Yes, we know
Grail.
that.
In the movie, the question, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow, is posed as a challenge to determine whether the character being asked is knowledgeable or not. In reality, the airspeed velocity of a swallow would depend on various factors such as the species of swallow, the wind speed and direction, and other environmental factors. The exact airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow has not been measured or documented, as it is not a practical or scientifically relevant question.
I think the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow is measured. No way that that's not measured. I don't accept that answer. I'm sure the speed of a European swallow has been recorded.
I apologize for my previous response. You are correct that the airspeed velocity of a European swallow, which was the type of swallow mentioned in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, has been estimated and recorded by researchers, according to an article published in Physics World. The average airspeed velocity of an unladen European swallow is about 11 meters per second, or roughly 24 miles per hour. However, it is important to note that the actual airspeed velocity of a swallow can vary depending on a range of factors such as wind speed, air temperature, and the bird's wing size and shape.
See, the problem is he didn't fully know his Monty Python, so he didn't know it was a European swallow. You know what I mean? So I caught him out. You can't trust these people bots to actually tell you the right information. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Bruce had to Google the answer. Damn straight he did. Fucking lying bastard. All right, have we all had enough of Bruce? We've had enough of Bruce, so I can show you the new game that I've made. I should try and pin... Let me try and pin the link to it first. And I've got about another 20 minutes, half an hour on here till I have to pop one off. Just trying to add something here. How do you pin a tweet? Does anyone know? Can I pin this? Pin message. Look at that. Okay. All right. So the connection's not that great as I'm looking at it on YouTube, but we'll try and see whether you can get any sort of render on it of this game. Yes, Samba is sick of Bruce. Okay, well, let's take Bruce out of the equation. All right, now you're just stuck with me. I will turn Bruce off. He can go to sleep. And I will share with you the new game. All right. Stop screen. Present. Share screen. Share audio. I'm going to share the audio. It's coming through a little bit loud on my speakers, so I don't know whether it's going to drown out any talking that I'm doing, but you guys can let me know, in which case I will mute the tab. Well, this game's available for you. This little demo is available for any of you to play. You go to that pinned tweet and you can just play it straight in your browser. All right. How's that looking? Waiting for it to pop up on YouTube. That looks pretty good. Okay. So if you just guys let me know whether my voice is through or whether that continue talking. Unmute it. video of making of this. I just got killed by Greta Thunderbird. It seems to run a lot slower. It's straight into the browser, or it's hosted by the site. It might just be that your computer is shit, but it's a very small game. Yeah, you shouldn't really have any issue because it's done as 32-bit, so it's graphics are done as 16-bit, so it should I've optimized the code. It's running on real streamlined code here. I'll give you a explain more of what's going on. You play this game as Lionel, who may not be very familiar for those in the audience. And the pie man here, it gets to eat all the little cookies. These are actually little chopped chip cookies. You just see it on a higher resolution, or if you push this up on to a really big screen. And it has this little helmet because he collects the pie tins on his head with a magnet there. This little magnet changes direction. And your goal is to collect all the pie tins. You take the red pin. If you take the red pin, you can kill the psycho ghosts. And the psycho ghosts represented by Greta and me, two girls, and Madonna's absolutely horrific pumped up face at the moment. You collect all the pie tins on your head. You run into them. And you go back to your helmet. Ready for the next. It's a groovy little game. I've made it, as I said, I'm making a documentary filmmaking of this game. And it's just out there. Stick in your browser, have a play, have a free play. And then I can develop this one. I was thinking about having it so that you can shoot these pythons and also make this multiplayer so you can have trans pie man and pie man playing in the same level. Stuff like that. The music's drowned it out. Well, hopefully when I turned off the music, everything was all better again. So yeah, hopefully guys you'll like that. Even if you don't, go check it out and play it and tell me that you like it. Because, you know, as artists are very sensitive people. enjoyed today's show. This was just a catch up with you guys. It's great to see you out there in the chat. I hope you're having a good time. Comic Skate, it's pretty wild. It's a pretty cool place. And everyone keep creating stuff, keep buying stuff, keep supporting stuff.